Grand Prix show jumping is not for the faint of heart, and in today's show, you'll meet.
Great.
This is Unbridled with Susan Kayne at Hits on the Hudson in Saugerties, New York. Presented by Thoroughbred. Family owned and operated since 1949. Thoroughbred produces specially designed horseshoes, racing plates, and therapeutic products to enhance equine performance. Learn more at thoroughbredinc.com.
Being a show jumping rider requires a huge time commitment. So how does the CEO of Tavern on the Green find time to ride? Come on with me, we'll find out. In New York, you're a significant business owner. You're the CEO of North America's most popular restaurant. And here in Saugerties, you're a girl that loves horses. And that's the girl we'd like to get to know.
Okay.
Where did it all begin?
I started riding in East Hampton at a little barn called Pheasant Run, where my sister used to ride, and I followed her to the barn one day and I never left. So,
what is it about horses that juices you or attracts you more than any other sport or hobby?
you know, it's an unexplainable connection that people either have or they don't have, and for some reason I have an obsession that I think borderline. No, I just really have a connection with horses, and I love them whether I'm riding or just hanging out at the barn. I don't know, it's something that I wonder if I have other things that I love like that, or I think that's what people feel about music or whatever it is that they feel their passion is, and me it's horses.
Was that in any way a family connection?
My grandfather, Mervyn LeRoy, was president of the Hollywood Race Park, but that's the only real connection to horses in my family. Other than that, my family will come and clap, but other than that, they have no idea what's going on, which is fine, so.
Well, with horses being such an all-time consuming passion and sport, how do you juggle your time between business responsibilities and riding?
Well, I have a wonderful team at Tavern. My general manager, my mom is a huge support, and she's always holding down the fort if I'm not there. So it's a team effort, but they realize how important the horses are to me. And when I first took over, I wasn't riding. And I started riding after September 11th happened because I really missed it, and I hadn't ridden in 6 years. And I realized that life's too short and you have to enjoy yourself a little bit. And so I split my time however I can. Wherever I'm needed, that's where I am. So.
And what happened that you weren't riding for 6 years?
Well, I was 16 at the Hampton Classic, and I had a bit of a bad fall. And my parents and I decided it would be a good decision to just finish high school and go to college and not ride. And I was devastated, but in the end, I came back to riding, and I have a whole new appreciation for it. And I started working for my dad at the restaurant when I wasn't riding, so that's where my love for the restaurant came in.
Jenny's dad, Warner LeRoy, is best known for creating Manhattan's most notable eateries, Maxwell's Plum, the Russian Tea Room, and Tavern on the Green. In the 6 years, you were not able to ride. How did you deal with that?
Heartbreaking. I honestly don't know. Now that I'm back riding, every time I'd see a horse, I would just break out in tears. It was horrible. But I guess I kind of knew that one day it would come, I would ride again. There was no way that I couldn't ever not ride again. So, but I did go to horse shows. I'd go to the Hampton Classic, and but I mean, I missed it so much. It was very hard to deal with it. Hi, big boy.
What advice would you have for kids in that situation?
I think that if riding is what you love and horses is what you love, that you'll always come back to it no matter what. But I think it's a good thing for kids to go to college and do other things, and unless they want to become a professional, because you can always come back and ride later. And when you're the one supporting yourself riding, it's a whole different story, and you can come and go as you please, and you don't have to ask your parents to drive you to the barn and all of that. So I would say hang in there.
Well, during that time period, were there things that happened in the restaurant that helped mature you as a person that then you translated back into your riding experience?
Probably being brave and standing up for yourself when you're like the only girl in the kitchen with 60 screaming chefs. I just think the time away just made me appreciate how much I love it, and I appreciate every day that I get to spend with my horses, and I never take it for granted. There you go. I do have a better connection with the horses because of the barns that I grew up in.
And tell us about your journey to get back in the saddle.
Well, my mom actually was a big encouragement because she knew how much I missed it after I lost my dad. So she said, go find the horse of your dreams. And it took a little while, but I found him. And he's at home right now. He's not here because he's on layup. He's getting a little older. His name is Zurich. Everybody who knows me knows that he's my special horse. I don't know, he still brings tears to my eyes just knowing that he's mine. There's just something about him that I love so much, and to me he represents all that is good in horses. He's caring and wouldn't hurt a fly and would do anything that you asked him to do, and extremely kind and extremely wise, and I just love him. I'd take him home with me if I could every night, and this is the first horse show I haven't brought him to, and I haven't seen him in 3 weeks, so I'm going to go home tomorrow and go give him some carrots and pears, which are his favorite.
Is there any way that you can put into words what that connection is like and why it's special?
You know, if I'm upset, I'll go sit with him. I really don't know what it is about him specifically, because I love all horses so much, and my horses, of course, I love them, but there's just something about my connection with Zurich. I don't know whether my dad sent him to me to look over me or what it is, but he can look at me and I know everything's okay. So, but when he's hurt or something's wrong, it's the hardest time in my life. I can't imagine what parents go through with their children, because I'm just devastated when he's uncomfortable in any way. So.
Well, speaking of your dad, you're from a very prominent family, that's no secret, and in show jumping there's a perception that, you know, money can buy winning rounds. I see you work as hard, if not harder, than other riders competing. Is that a challenge as far as people's perception of you that you have to deal with?
The horse business is a very small world, and there is a perception that rich girls and boys can buy their way into the ring and do well. To a certain extent it's true, because you can go and buy Olympic prospects and all of that, but the truth is everybody works really hard, no matter what. I mean, the riders are doing the jobs. No horse goes around by itself. But the barns that I grew up in, you did your own work. There were nobody there to take care of your horses. You took care of your own horses. And my mom was a big part of that, and I really appreciate it. And back then I was like, why don't I get to ride at all of these great barns where all of the other kids are riding? But now I appreciate it so much, because I have such a better connection with the horses because of the barns that I grew up in. But it is very hard, because everybody thinks you can buy one horse and you know, it escalates to being $1 million horse by the end of the week, or where are your next 10 horses coming? So, you know what, I just focus on the positive part of riding and what I enjoy, and let everybody else go on and think whatever they want to think. So.
Well, you have a beautiful selection of horses that you ride. Do you select them yourself?
I do. I have some help from other people. You know, it's for me, it's really about the connection. There can be the greatest, most beautiful horse in the world, but if you ride it and it's just, there's not a connection there, there's no chemistry there, then it's just not the horse for you. I'm very picky about the horses that I buy. You know, you can stumble into some people trying to sell you all kinds of horses, and sort of everybody gets taken for a ride once and then it doesn't happen again.
Well, we always hear about horse trading, and that being said, how do you personally value a horse?
How do I value a horse? That's very interesting, because if you know, it depends on who you are. If somebody's trying to sell a horse to somebody with a bigger name, obviously they add another $100,000 onto the horse. And the numbers for horses are, you know, to people not in the horse world, they can't believe the amount of money that people spend on horses. But for me, I really look at the horse all around: personality, what it's competed in, how it's doing, and I decide then what I think it's worth, and if the person's willing to negotiate, then great. So it's hard. I'm actually a seller now. You know, I have a horse for sale, or I had two and I sold one. So it's very interesting, because I don't want to come off as this horrible pushy horse salesman. On the other hand, I'd like my horse to go to, you know, a good home, and I'd like him to move on. So it's a tough thing. It's a tough game to play.
How do you deal with being so young that you're not taken advantage of in the horse world? Because it seems to be a lot of that going on.
You know, I have been in certain situations like that, and instead of getting mad about it, I just say, you know what, they can take advantage of me once, but they'll never do it again. And just, again, focus on what I enjoy about this. And a horse is a horse. I will love it as much as I can and care for it. And I really just try and find people that I trust, but that takes a long time to gain trust, and then you hold on to those people very closely.
Younger class, 870, is Jennifer Oz LeRoy.
Later in the show, meet the incredible Roman riding Rachel Jackson.
That's later in the show on Unbridled with Susan Kayne.
I've ridden with a lot of really great top trainers. As a junior, I rode with Paul Vallier and Timmy Keys, and who were top equitation trainers. You know what? I really spent a little time with a lot of different trainers. I really wasn't in a barn for a very long time, and I was always the girl that shipped in with the horses. I never stabled there at the big fancy barns. And it's really, for me, it's about my confidence in the ring. I have great basics. I work very, very hard. And the thing about some trainers, I think, is you become sort of such a soldier of their riding that you sort of lose your individualism as a rider. And to me, it's about your instincts as a good rider. I feel like that's what I have. I have good instincts as a rider, and so that's what I focus on.
Well, you certainly seem to have good instincts in both the show ring and in the CEO arena. You seem so sweet. How do you toughen yourself up for competition and for the decisions you have to make in the boardroom?
Do you see what I wear around my neck? Okay.
What do you see?
It's a little cleaver. I had to get tough once at the restaurant. Well, I mean, I've had to get tough, but I really, when people work for me, you know, they see me doing exactly what they do, and you'll never see me fly off the handle at somebody, because I think it's just embarrassing to the person, and all it does is make them feel, you know, belittle themselves, and I don't think that's fair. And I've worked in situations like that, and that's just not a good situation to be in. I really just try and point out what's wrong, say we won't have this happen again, and move on, because there's really no point in, you know, but there are times when you have to get tough. And so I did get nicknamed the Butcher, which is why I have a cleaver. The New York Post called me the birthday butcher, because I let go a lot of staff after my father passed away that I just didn't think were fitting in. So it was on my birthday, and that's how I got the name. So my staff got together, who remains, who I adore, and got me this. And so I wear it to remind myself to not take any crap, and to be tough in the ring and assertive and certain.
Younger class, 870, is the Pie with Jennifer Oz LeRoy.
You mentioned a very big horse.
That would be the Pie.
And the name, the Pie, is that not Elizabeth Taylor's horse in National
Yes,
Velvet?
that is
Is
where-
there a connection there?
Absolutely. Pie's original name is Stevie. And when I got him, there were some different names being thrown around. The first thing I thought was that he looked like a giant piece of chocolate cake, because he's very dark and very luscious and very rich colored. And my mother makes a very delicious dessert called blacksmith pie. So his actual original name was Blacksmith Pie, but then he decided that anytime he was out in the paddock by himself, he would jump out of the paddock. And if you remember from National Velvet, the first time she sees the Pie, he jumps out of the paddock. So, and it's my favorite movie, and some people do call me Velvet Brown a long time ago, but he's my Pie, and I love him so much.
I've heard that you're the queen of bling in New York City.
I think it's more of the nervous, creative energy why I bedazzle everything that I own, and everybody else's whatever they own. I really really appreciate every day of life, and if I'm not working or riding, I like to be creative or being, with my friends or my mom or my family. So that's how the Jenny Oz rhinestone thing began.
Jenny, I think I've learned where the rumor came about that you're stud crazy.
Yes, that's hours of work right there.
How did this idea come about?
Well, there's a famous trainer named Frank Madden who started putting stripes on these helmets and to represent your barn or your country or whatever you like, and it was a really great idea. And then I saw some girls with some sparkles on there and some stickers and all sorts of things, and I just it just popped into my head. I thought, well, why not put the rhinestones on the helmet? So I stayed up all night before the Hampton Classic, and it took me I think it took about 7 hours to do the first helmet. And I wore it, and everywhere I walked around, people were looking at me, and I was like, why are they staring at me? And I just had forgotten that I had, and in the sun, it just sparkles so much. So I had just got so many orders from there, and it just sort of spread from there, and it was great. And now I have great Grand Prix riders wearing them, and professionals and pony kids, and it's just something that's fun for the horse world.
So if one of the girls watching would like to order one of these helmets, where would they go?
I have a website, jennyoz.com, JENNYOZ.com, and they can see all the different patterns. We can do anything. This is the, obviously, American Pride, which was originally done for Debbie Stevens, the Grand Prix rider. So she wears this, and I have the only other one. But I can make anything. I can put logos on, colors. The more fun, the more I like to do them. So.
Now, is the bling bling limited to helmets?
No, it's not limited at all. I've rhinestoned everything from the interior of someone's car to laptops. My biggest two sellers are my cell phones and the rhinestone GPA helmets. But if there's anything special you want rhinestones that doesn't move, I can do it.
Who has influenced you the most?
Who's influenced me as a rider? I think a lot of the young riders are really amazing right now. I watched Georgina Bloomberg's show all winter, and she has so much heart and so much determination, and that is just so admirable to me, and so brave and just winning spirit. And also, when you see a rider-horse combination that really clicks and really connects, you can tell. But I'm a fan of a lot of the big Grand Prix riders. Margie Goldstein's an amazing rider. Ian Miller is an amazing rider. I mean, there's so many. Chris Kapler of our recent team, McLean Ward. There's all types of really wonderful riders.
And what can we expect from you over the next decade?
What can you expect from me? Well, I'm working on some other projects, possibly some new restaurants. I will hopefully be launching a Jenny Oz clothing line after the accessory line, just because I love clothing and I'd love to do that. And as a rider, I hope to be moving up the ranks and having great horses and enjoying myself.
Well, we wish you every success with that. It's been a privilege to talk to you, as I said at the beginning. And today, Thoroughbred salutes the incredible Roman riding Rachel Jackson. No one-trick pony, this young gal has achieved extraordinary feats with her off-the-track thoroughbreds.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Rachel's biggest challenge, getting her team to move forward at all paces on a loose rein without changing speed. Rachel's advice to new OTTB owners, take it slow. Reward even the tiniest step in the right direction. It is a huge feat for your horse. Remember, he or she is in a whole new world. Rachel's favorite thing about OTTBs? Willingness. Their willingness to do anything she asks.
Hi, I'm Lisa Malloy and I run Lisa Malloy Training Stables here in Suffolk, Virginia. I take horses for 3 different registered charities: Aikendale Thoroughbred Rescue, Turning for Home and Rerun. I started galloping thoroughbreds back when I was 16 years old, and I worked for one of the top steeplechase trainers in Europe, Jimmy Fitzgerald. Since moving to the United States, I've worked with reining horses, cutting horses, world champion rope horses, Western pleasure horses, polo, and once again back with thoroughbreds. My favourite part of this industry is taking a horse that's for want of a better word, been discarded, and turning it around and placing it in a really, really good home with someone that prizes it just as highly as they would prize Frankel if he was in there still. We take these horses and we retrain them for second careers. We always have a vast array of horses available for adoption, and they range from 2-year-olds with no injuries to war horses, to horses that have had surgery and come back from rehab. And you know, we have something for everybody, from upper level competition to someone just wanting a family horse or a trail horse.
Next time on Unbridled.
So we continue our scoring now for number 500. Amy Monroe rides in aboard Summer Storm, an 8-year-old gelding for Shane Brooks out of West Sand Lake, New York. So we'll watch the round now for Amy Monroe, Summer Storm, number 500.
I always aspired to do the Grand Prix, and then when I joined partnership with Summer Storm last May is when it really, the goal that I've set and really came forth, and I've had an animal that can help me out and get there, and he and I have developed together and got myself to this point.
Well, through those early years, did you really envision yourself riding in the Grand Prix?
I think I always hoped to, and some days more than others, but I think the desire is what's got me here.
And you've succeeded against popular opinion that Grand Prix show jumping and horse sports are only for the super rich. How have you done it?
I've done it just through a lot of hard work, a lot of time, effort, just the love of the animals, and just day in and day out sticking to it and just persevering and going forth with my goals.
How did you
That's next week on Unbridled with Susan Kayne.